Ljubljana, Slovenia, December 1994. From the Autonomous University of Barcelona, the UAB, arrives the first group of volunteers and conscientious objectors, a group that will open in this country a whole year work in Bosnian refugee centers. After 1 year working for the preparation, the UAB Social Affairs Office and Volunteers for Bosnia presented to the Government Office for Immigration and Refugees the project to prepare the return of the Bosnian exiles. The Spanish Ministry of Justice, the Generalitat de Catalunya, and the UAB Autónoma Solidaria Commission approved and financed this project, making possible that 50 volunteers and objectors could take part in it during 1995. The war in Bosnia and Herzegovina has provoked an exodus of about 2 million refugees. Expelled from their houses or forced to abandon them to save their lives, Bosnians have suffered a genocide nowadays known as ethnic cleansing. So the drama of this war have been specially touched with the killings of thousands of people and also for the personal circumstances of a huge number of people who had to leave their lands. These are the war refugees. The UAB solidarity activities with the victims of the war in Bosnia and Herzegovina started in 1992. With the support of the City Council of Barcelona, an important amount of humanitarian aid was collected. In Christmas 1992, 16 conscientious objectors were the first in Europe to work with refugees. In summer 1993, a project of social and pedagogic work was established in centers for Bosnian refugees distributed along the peninsula of Istria in Croatia. 80 Catalan objectors and volunteers took part in the program. The Solidarity and Third World Commission of the Catalan Parliament, chaired by the parliamentarian Magda Uranic, invited the UAB delegation to explain the organized activities. The President Jordi Pujol also invited the volunteers at the Catalan government, the Generalitat. Everything pushed the UAB to prepare a new activity, the project to prepare the return of the Bosnian refugees from Slovenia. The Incabol, the Catalan Volunteer Institute, gave to the project the Volunteer Award 1994. The Republic of Slovenia, although being privileged in the general scene of the fall of Yugoslavia, has suffered the economic and human consequences of the war. In Tolmin, a small town under the Slovenian Alps, is where the UAB volunteers started the project with the Bosnian refugees. More than 500 exiles have lived in this town since the beginning of the war. The old military barracks were the place chosen by the Office for Immigration and Refugees to lodge the Bosnians. Life conditions are precarious. Hot water and kitchen cooking are restricted. Private life is limited to family rooms. Although the goodwill of the center management, which organizes domestic activities, food is not much varied and it's hardly nutritious. Economic resources are also insufficient to maintain the minimum sanitary and educational services. Until September of 1995, the children's school training was led by their own Bosnian refugees in a voluntary way, but without the sufficient standard level. Auschwitz is the name chosen by the young refugees for their private club. At the difficult situation, the majority of young people of the center react in closing into themselves to their own world, where they reflect their impotence and let go passiveness, in communication, distance towards the elders, and monotony.
Ajdovština.
The city of Ajdovština is an important communication center in the west of Slovenia. It has 15,000 inhabitants, rather connected to the close Italian border. The former Yugoslav army barracks also lodged the Bosnian refugees here. In the center, bigger than the Tolmin one, live 500 people. Domestic services are saturated. Feeding is rationed with coupons. Life conditions are very anguishing and the buildings are very deteriorated. One of the reasons for tension in Aidovщina is that the city hall had done a project to build a new school in the former military barracks. The arrival of the refugees therefore stopped the project. In Aidovщina refugee center, there is a phone call system that announces the Bosnian refugees, their luck. It is like a lottery. Just a phone call that, although may mean a break in the monotony of the day, can bring a new misfortune.
Novo Mesto.
In the east of Slovenia, near Croatia, there is Novo Mesto. The refugee center in this town is placed at the Dijaški dom, the youth hostel. Here, the UAB has developed a pilot project with the city hall of Vilafranca del Penedès, twin town of Novo Mesto. In general, there is a more dynamic life here than in other places. There are refugees living in the center, but there are also some of them living with local families. The building, although being a youth hostel, has very small and overcrowded rooms. Like in everywhere, there is an exhaustive control over the delivery of the basic products given by the Slovenian Red Cross, which is the only organization that delivers some humanitarian aid to the centers.
3 years ago, we used to receive a lot of humanitarian aid from abroad, but at this moment we don't get so much. During the present year, just only some donations have given this material, but we don't know how much are we going to get next month.
Good or bad mood for the next fortnight can depend on a simple detail like this. Refugee life, like Sabaheta's, is uncertain. She has not been able to get in any European Union country, but their status here is considered as a temporal resident.
We arrived after crossing the mountains near Split. We slept in a van and then we took a bus to Ljubljana, where my brother was waiting for us. My husband had died, but my brother didn't want to tell it to me until 1 year after. He was killed at home together with 4 people. One of them survived and told it to my brother. Now, I live here thanks to him because me, as a refugee, I cannot work. My wish is to come back home again and start a new life. I also wish that the war finishes.
Ida is also in an uncertain situation. She tries to overcome her insecurity, keeping her musician talent.
I'm from Sarajevo and I'm here studying music in Ljubljana, but my wish is still to return home.
The arrival of the first van of material to Tolmin made possible to start pedagogic activities with the refugees, with the aims of let them recover their self-confidence and show them that even the war they can start again. Contribution of private firms, non-government organizations and sport clubs with a great variety of material have made possible to develop the project of the UAB. The project started organizing social activities. Common life they enjoyed during the first 3 working months was useful to know closely different worries of the people. By organizing festive activities, such as the New Year's Eve, the contact with refugees began to be usual and intensive. Playing games, theatre, music, all activities that mean joy and happiness have made confidence growing and also hidden the shame between grown-ups and young ones. This is not a common fact amongst refugees. Passing over this obstacle has been the key for the volunteers to get their aims. Volunteers for Bosnia have worked in 3-month switches. They have shared daily life with the refugees, living inside the center under the same management rules. The UAB is the only one organization authorized by the Slovenian government to work 24 hours daytime in the refugee centers. At the university campus, it is previously organized the working plan. A team placed in Barcelona managed sponsoring contributions, training courses, and promotion of the project around the UAB. Pedagogy professors, cooperators with Bosnia, and teachers of Serbo-Croatian language trained the groups in the basic topics they would need to organize the work in the centers. The psychologists of the Slovene Foundation have collaborated with the UAB on the training level, helping in the evaluation of the volunteer work. The activities have been permanently coordinated with the local management.
Vsak, ki se vključuje v organiziran program.
Any kind of organization that wants to collaborate with us with the known program is always welcomed. Once you are into the center, looking to the children without any place to go, playing in their rooms and messing around the corridors, or the grown-ups have to play cards on kitchen seats or in any improvised place. It's really great to get into a project like this. The restoring of the center is a project that gets effective results. But moreover than this, activities like that look after to motivate the refugees in an active and positive way. Many of them had sent away any interest for a proper life. To break this passiveness is in fact the main aim. Volunteers have used the recovering of the neglected parts of the center to gain the confidence of the refugees. So much that the restored youth room is called as the famous Barcelona football player, the Mejocoder Club. In order to improve the degrading atmosphere of the center, the refugees have started restoring the benches of the yard. This is how they can also restore their own dignity and working capacities. The project strategy has been thought with starting regular activities among the children. Volunteers have organized workshops with them out of the school timetable in a way that they can structure their leisure time. The success of this idea has provoked a general interest in the further activities. The room where the carpenter workshop had to be installed has been used for all kinds of activities. In this place there has been constructed many different projects, such as the handmade chess games, domestic furniture, and even the masks and beasts for the local carnival celebrations. Informatic lessons were one of the activities that volunteers were able to start thanks to the donation of some non-government organizations. Other regular courses, like those about photography, have developed the artistic abilities of the refugees. Some of the pictures made by the Bosnian have been useful to illustrate the magazines published in the centers of Tolmin and Idopština. The UAB volunteers promoted the creation of Baxters and Shaitan, the magazines of the centers designed by the young Bosnians. The aim was to drive to the refugees on ways of expression. The idea is to push on the first issue and let them manage on the following ones. The courses of English, Italian, and even Catalan and Spanish, taught by volunteers, exchanged for Serbo-Croat lessons, have awakened the interest of everyone's age to learn. Making of wool handmade products, such as socks or traditional knittings, has been a new motivation for women. This has helped to recover an old practice abandoned because of the passiveness. Another traditional practice for many Bosnians before coming to Slovenia was cultivating the land. To encourage them to work on that activity again, the volunteers asked for use some abandoned lands. After that, the management distribute them to the families. This has been the best example of an activity promoted by the volunteers, nowadays absolutely dealt by the refugees themselves. After some months of sweat and work, the fruits can be easily seen. Living together with the local population has radically changed when the children get integrated in the Slovene school. Sharing the same idea, the UAB have also promoted on its program the social integration of the Bosnian refugees with the other Slovene people. The children's school integration has promoted between the locals and the Bosnians plenty of cultural, sportive and leisure exchanges. Although they have always thought in their return, the refugees, with the support of the volunteers and some local organizations like CUT Francais Prešeren, have reached a normal relationship with the local community. One of the most amazing activities on that level have been, for sure, the roller skate club.
The idea was that the young Bosnian and Slovenes, through the roller skate club, could enjoy any activity together.
Volunteers for Bosnia, sponsorized by Rollerblade, an American firm, have created the roller skate club, composed by Bosnian and Slovenes. The aim of this project has been to give support from the sport and leisure sides to the normal relationships between the local people and the refugees. As always, once this proposition has been established, the volunteers have given the management of the activity to their real main actors. Returning home for Bosnian refugees begins to be finally a defined reality. A delegation from the Catalan Parliament, which have visited the refugee centers, and the volunteers could appreciate it indeed.
After 1 year of volunteer work in Slovenia, there has been a complete change in the passiveness of the centers. There has been a lot of activities, many different courses. But the most important is that the volunteers have given the tools to prepare now the refugees for their return to Bosnia. The Bosnian people are living their 4th year as exiles. Right now, many of them awake themselves and discover the hard reality hidden all this time behind the refugee centers. Peace is in the air, also the return and meeting the relatives again. But they will rest the destruction, the post-war and the misery. The future of Bosnia in Slovenia and all over the world depends not only thanks to an action of support like ours, but also from everybody's. Or maybe will be needed finally, where have all the flowers gone?